On a forum that I visit frequently, there's been quite a bit of discussion lately about rivets, where to buy rivets, how to make rivets, etc. So I thought I'd make a brief video on how I do it, because I really like making rivets and I really like nicely hand peened rivets, as I think they look very attractive and are very functional. In fact, a well applied rivet has greater strength than a bolt of the same general size, as the bolt necessarily has to have some clearance in the hole that it's using to join two pieces, whereas the rivet, when it's peened, actually mushrooms down a bit and completely fills the hole, besides making a head that retains the rivet. So I'm going to go ahead and fire up my lathe here. It makes some noise, so I had it off while we were talking, and we're going to go ahead and turn down a rivet that will be 5/16 in diameter. I'm using 1/2 inch stock here. That'll be our first step. Let's go and get with it. Let's go ahead and make that cut. I know that I want to stop just shy of the chuck down here, as I want a rivet about 1 inch in length. Okay, that rivet that we cut will fit the hole, and got just a few thousandths probably of play, but it's a pretty good fit. So let's go ahead and part it off. And how much to leave for a head is a little bit arbitrary, but by my eye that looks about right, and is probably about 5/16 or so. So let's fire up and get going here. There we are. Now let's go ahead and rough shape that rivet head. And for that, I just have this little cutter in that should be convenient. Let's give it a whirl. Take off that little nib there first off. Then we'll just back up and put a little shoulder on there, like so, approximately. Again, it's a matter of just doing this sort of by eye. Now I'm going to use a file to just refine that shape a little bit. This is just a matter, again, of doing it by eye. And I guess as I look at this one, I wonder if it's a little bit on the thickish side. So I'm going to take it down a little bit here, and then we'll round it off again. You could get fussy and get out a radius gauge and all that if you wanted to, but for most purposes, all you want is a fairly neat, attractive looking head. You can see that the file left some marks on there, which for actual practical purposes wouldn't matter a bit, but an easy way to smooth that up is just to use a piece of 120 grit paper first off, and just kind of cup it in there and run it around like so. Now we're going to use a piece of 600 grit paper, and shine it up a bit more just to make it pretty. It doesn't take very long or very much. I could do this on the lathe, but I'd rather not get the grit into it. And then here's what we end up with. Looks pretty nice, I think. Sorry about the light there that wipes out the camera. But that's what it looks like. Okay, so let's go ahead and peen that rivet over. I've got the backup bar here of aluminum so we don't muck up the head. And we'll just start around the edges with the peen end. Of the hammer. I don't like to use the ball end for this. So we'll finish up here. And all I'm doing is going around the edges. And mushrooming it out nice and evenly. And you can see all the little individual facets on it. And you can see how it's pretty well mushroomed out against the metal. And I will tell you for sure that that is really, really bound tightly so that there's a very good mechanical connection there between the two pieces. So here's how the head looks after we got that rivet peened over. And if it did take the shine off it just a little bit, but it doesn't take much to put that back if that's important in the application that you're making the rivet for. So that's a rivet most of us could feel pretty happy with, I think.